show you my toys.
Hey everybody, this is D Hunter bringing another action figure review. Today we're going to look at the Mezco 112 collection, Commissioner Gordon and Bat Signal. This is a really cool first time Mezco's made Commissioner Gordon. They do these cloth suited action figures and I'm really excited to put this Gordon with Batman. This also comes with a working bat symbol and a little cardboard rooftop diorama, so should be a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and check out the packaging here. As you can see, here's a rooftop, bat symbol in a city area. We've got 112, Commissioner Gordon bat symbol, Mezco logo here. At the top, 112, pose play display. One side here we've got Gordon with the signal. Other side here looks like Gordon smoking. On the bottom, just a little bit of credits. Of course, there's a barcode as well. And on the back, you can see Gordon, the actual figure, with the signal, looking great. Now, I do feel that there's a sleeve to come off, and we'll check that out in just a sec. But let's see how we got up to this point. And then here's the box that it came in, shipped at my front door. There are two of these guys in here. I see on the front it says quantity 4, so this is a case of 4 that's presumably going to have 2 of these figures in it. This box is huge, absolutely massive. Look at my hand touching it. Way bigger than any Mezco box I've gotten before. And then bam, here are the contents inside there. 2 of these Gordon 112 figures. And then here are the contents of the box. As you can see here, they got plastic wrap around them. The front's sort of a building diorama type thing. I got one of these to keep unopened and sealed, never to remove the plastic wrap from it. And of course one to open and have fun with. This also came with a Mezco pin, which you can put in your shirt. Kind of nice little nod to other collectors, perhaps. This one did not come with a free Mezit, like a lot of the previous releases have. Alright, well, let's go ahead and get this one open. And then here it is with the plastic wrap removed. And then here it is with the outer sleeve removed. And you can see here is the inner box. Love the color, screams yellow, black, Batman, bat signal, etc. Commissioner Gordon, the bat signal, DC, nice classic Batman logo. Batman logo on the side, same with the other side. The back, we've got the rooftop scene with a yellowish background. And then they went all out on the packaging. If you're a Mezco collector, you definitely know what this thing here. It's going to be 4 cardboard clamshells holding the figure in there. Here we've got the diorama piece. And then here, wrapped in some really fragile foam, is the bat signal. Pretty cool. Oh, comes with batteries. And then here we go with the bat signal and the diorama out of the package. We also got some instructions right here. Alright, so let's continue our journey to open this guy. Here he is, the top sleeve off. Here we go with the next piece removed. Loving that GCPD stand. And then here he is with the last piece of the clamshell removed. Here's everything you get in this. You get quite a bit. You get a nice little fancy yellow box in the back, which means nothing to me. You get an absolutely fantastic bat signal. I must say, so far, that looks like the best one they've ever made, and they've made quite a few variations so far. You got the figure, lots of various accessories, display stand, elaborate diorama, looks like a cloth trench coat, a couple different looks for this guy. So pretty packed full of stuff. Alright, well now that we got this figure out of the package entirely, here he is with all of his accessories laid out. He does come with a giant GCPD stand. He comes with a bulletproof vest, a trench coat, of course the bat signal. He has a radio walkie-talkie, a pistol, a police badge, a holster for his pistol, a wristwatch, 4 alternate hands totaling 6 hands, an alternate head totaling 2 heads, and this rooftop diorama piece. This guy jam-packed with accessories. Can't wait to dig in deep. But before we look at his accessories, let's take a look at the actual figure. So here's Gordon. See his face here. Of course, he's got his traditional mustache and glasses, black tie with sort of a teal shirt, nice belt made of hard plastic on top of this cloth, gray slacks, black dress-up shoes. Overall, looking pretty good, looking the way you'd imagine Gordon looking at a regular day on the job. So before we look at the actual figure and his accessories, let's take a look at the diorama and the bat signal. Two of the pieces I'm probably most excited for, and don't get me wrong, the Gordon's pretty cool too. So it looks pretty basic. We've got two of these pieces that presumably fold together to be assembled. We've got the base here, and then we've got sort of city background piece, which looks pretty good. Of course, there are instructions as well. It looks like we're going to start off by assembling the foldable pieces. And then as you assemble this, here's one of them assembled. Make sure you crease all the folds as hard as you can before you assemble this thing. It'll only make it more sturdy and durable. Just completely crease everything before assembling. And when putting it together, just make sure the tabs get completely inside and lock into place. That way they won't be popping out. This is very reminiscent of how Extreme Sets is built, but honestly I'm having much better quality control with this Mezco. And then now we've got these two pieces completely assembled, part of the rooftop diorama. And it's literally as simple as that. You then take your background piece, simply fold it, take your base, put it together, and you are done. Easy as that. Of course, you've got these two pieces here. They can be used, butted up against each other in the corner to cover up the bottom of the background, or you could take them on the outside, kind of make yourself a little rooftop enclosed area. Now you can't act like that isn't cool as hell right there. And then before this Mezco set, here's the rooftop of my GCPD. You can see a few diorama pieces here, the bat signal, all of my various Batman and Robin duos up top. And there's a background piece here. This thing was from Batman vs. Superman. It's a background for a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. It actually had a working bat signal. That's the only reason I put it on top of the GCPD. Pretty sure this thing's going to get the shaft, and I'm going to put the Mezco in its place. And it looks like I've got a little bit of a dilemma here. I was hoping this thing would just slide into place where that other cardboard diorama was, but unfortunately these shelves here are just like a 1/4 inch too low. I'll probably have to remove them so you can slide that thing underneath and behind. Maybe I'll be able to do something kind of like this and mount this on the wall with this diorama background behind them. I'll have to play around and see. Well, that took about 10 minutes. Went ahead and raised that shelf up by a 1/4 inch or so, tucked in the diorama behind. Now here we go on the rooftop GCPD, the new signal. Next, I'll show the bat signal here. This thing here is nice. Look at it, look at the detail. Inside the glass, outside. So far this thing looks great. You're able to put the batteries in here, unscrew this. It does come with 3 of them. Back signal has a little bit of articulation at the base here. It can swivel. It also is able to move up and down here with the actual signal part. Then it does have a switch that's working pretty nice. Simple on-off switch here at the bottom. Obviously, turn it on. Interesting. It's a combination. If you have it on here, then you can actually turn on with the figure. I didn't realize that. That's pretty cool. So he flicks it up, the signal's on. Flicks it down, turns off. Of course, when you have it set to off, it won't work any of the time, saving battery life. So this is not the first functioning bat signal that they've ever released from different various companies. Next, let's compare this to some other bat signals. And so here's how this Mezco bat signal looks as it is shining onto the ceiling. So the first actual functioning bat signal that I ever got was this one here. This is a much smaller one, came with 6-inch figures as well, slight bit of articulation. Of course it does light up as well, you have to hold in the button. This here came from the line Batman, which was the predecessor to DC Superheroes, which was a predecessor to DC Universe Classics, which is a predecessor to the Multiverse line, which is just about to end. This came with Bat Signal Batman. He was one of the rarest Batmans from that line. And then here is the Batman, Bat Signal Batman's Bat Signal pointing at the ceiling, another classic looking signal. The next functioning Bat Signal I would like to compare it to is this one here. It's quite a bit smaller as you see, but it's really cheap. If you type Bat Signal on eBay, this is at least the first thing that comes up for me. It was some sort of little small box that came with a little book as well as this, I believe. This thing here does have a little bit of articulation and an on-off switch at the bottom. Of course, turns on the Bat Signal, turns it off. Pretty simple. This here is a great alternative for a Bat Signal if you don't have one and you only want to get one for less than $15. And then here's how this small Bat Signal looks on the ceiling. And then years later, the Mattel made the Movie Masters line. They had this Collect and Connect Bat Signal from The Dark Knight Rises. An absolutely superb piece. It rivals a Mezco one. If there's anyone better than the Mezco one, it's this one. Although I think it's going to stay in second place. As you can see, a lot longer. It does have some articulation as well. A panel to turn it on. Underneath, turn it on. It stays on for about 20 seconds, then turns itself off. And then they did make a variant piece as well. So you can have the broken front as when Jim Gordon destroyed it with the axe at the end of The Dark Knight. Pretty cool to have a variant Collect and Connect. I decided to get two of these because I wanted to be able to display the broken and the regular one at the same time. And then here's the Movie Master Bat Signal as it is projected onto the ceiling. Next we've got this little thing. This is some sort of Chinese bootleg knockoff. I'm sure it's not officially licensed. Got it for incredibly cheap. Somebody bought this for me a couple years ago for Christmas from work. And I mean, it doesn't look like much. It's obviously not going to function as a Bat Signal as far as on a rooftop, but it does light up and portray a really nice single out there. For the price, well worth it. And then here's this bootleg Chinese thing as is projected onto the ceiling. It actually looks pretty cool. And sort of recently Mattel made the basic line from Batman vs Superman. There was a large Batcave playset, and it came with this Bat Signal, which is attached to sort of the rooftop of Wayne Manor, which makes absolutely no sense at all. This is not actually a functioning Bat Signal as far as no electrical parts. It does not light up. You can actually shine some light on it and reflect it onto the ceiling, which is kind of cool. But it's nice to have one with the Batman vs Superman logo. And like I said before, if you shine a light onto this Bat Signal, you can kind of make it reflect into the sky. And then DC Collectibles made a Bat Signal from Batman the Animated Series. This one is pretty cool, pretty big and bulky as well. It also has a similar feature to the Mezco where you put the switch down and that lights up the actual signal. And then of course they did release two different versions of this. The one on the left is silver and the one on the right is sort of got a little bit of chrome tinted to it. One came in a pack with Batman, Robin, and the Bat Signal. Another one came in a pack with the Batmobile, Batman, Robin, and the Bat Signal. And then here's the Batman Animated Series signal shining onto the ceiling. I can remember back in the day when there were pretty much no options for functioning Bat Signals for your action figures. Look how far we've come. And not that it makes any sense, but if you wanted to put all the Bat Signals on the GCPD rooftop, this is how it would look. Each one having their own sort of little place to go. So now we get to check out Gordon and all of his accessories. So let's start out by some of the less exciting items. Of course, we had a bag, 1/12 to keep all of his stuff into. Mezco is one of the few figures that I bother to actually keep their stuff separated. Then we got a nice base of the stand, GCPD, liking that. Maybe somehow I can hang it up in my GCPD headquarters. Then, of course, the arm of the stand. Now, I'm not really much of a stand guy, so stand is going to go to a big box of stands, never to be seen again. But Mezco does make some pretty nice stands, able to hold your figure pretty nicely. Can't imagine Gordon's going to need him in too many different action poses for the stand. So now let's get to Gordon's actual specific accessories. So here's a figure broken down as far as he can go with all of his removable parts detached. So here are all of his accessories laid out. Let's start off by checking out his heads. Now they appear to be the same mold, same heads, except one of them has brown hair, one of them has some gray in it, being a little bit of an older Gordon. So here's a look at his younger head. I do like the expression on his face, the glasses, the straight mustache. Definitely screams Gordon to me. And then here's his older head. This one I think is going to be my default head between the two, just depending on what I'm going for. But Gordon to me usually does have some gray in his hair. So next I'll show his hands. He's got a total of 6 of them, 2 fisted, 2 which are sort of semi-open action hands. I think one can hold his radio, maybe one can hold the police badge, and then what it looks like at least 1 trigger finger, possibly 2 hands that can hold weapons. And then here he is with his fists out, and don't think because he's an old man that Gordon can't fight. Then here he is with his semi-open, I believe, action hands. So if you were to take his radio walkie, for example, it's got a little peg on the back which can clip into his belt. One thing that's really cool, this thing here has a magnet on the inside. And then if you were to clip this onto his belt, the top part, the walkie part, has a magnet on the inside, and there's a magnet inside of his chest. You can see it goes right onto there. It won't do that on his stomach or the other side of his chest, but right here, as to sort of simulate him having his radio nearby. Then this hand here presumably could have him gripping it and turning it on. So that is definitely one thing this hand is able to do. And then here are his 2 open gripping hands, assuming you'll be able to hold weapons with these. So now let's look at the rest of his accessories. We've already checked out his radio and attached that. Next, let's go and check out his police badge. This item here also has a little peg at the back side that can clip into his belt. So he can kind of hold it between his fingers here. And it can also be attached to his belt, like so. So next, let's check out his wristwatch. This thing is extremely small. I'm sure you remove his hand, slide it on, and put his hand back on. And then here he goes, looking to see what time it is. I've seen Mezco include a similar accessory with the Diabolic figure. Next, let's check out his pistol, holster, and blast accessory. Now obviously, his pistol is going to be able to holster into here and attach to his belt. Looks pretty nice there. And then here's his holster attached to his belt without the weapon in it. And then here it is with the pistol inside, looking excellent. And then here he is with his pistol drawn, ready to go. And then here he is with his arm extended, ready to shoot. And then here he is with his blast accessory attached, like he just fired the weapon. So next, let's check out his 2 cloth accessories. First of all, we've got a trench coat, classic stereotypical Gordon. Open it up, looks pretty nice. Go to slide that on him. I noticed that this little belt thing is a wire inside, so it can take whatever position you want it to. Then he also has this GCPD bulletproof vest. This is the back side, looking really, really cool. Here's the front side. Even has a little functioning zipper. Now that's pretty cool. Nice attention to detail there. My word, Mezco. And then here he is with his bulletproof vest on, the SWAT vest. You can see it's got pouches on the front, GCPD on the back. This is him when he's in the action. And then here he is with his trench coat on. You can keep it open like this, or you can shut it and tie his belt. You can have his collar down, or you can pop his collar. You can also tie it shut or put his collar up. Nice to have several different display options. And this here is going to be my favorite default look for this Jim Gordon. Now that we've taken a very in-depth look at his accessories, and he does have a lot of those, next let's check out the height of this figure. So this figure here, from bottom to top, is sitting just about 6.5 inches. Next let's check out his articulation. So of course his head here, of course it can go around from side to side. It can look down about that far, up about that far. His shoulders go out about that far, not quite 90 degrees. Very tight right now on mine. Of course they can go up, down, around, sort of ball joint side there. Single jointed elbows, and there's a swivel at the top. So wrist, of course, can swivel around, and it's hinged as well. He's got not an ab crunch, but a little bit of a swivel at the top here. Then he's got a ball joint at the bottom where he can rotate and go forward and back. So this guy's standing up straight, can look straight ahead. If you mix his ab crunch in his head, he can look down about that far, and then up about that far. Not too bad. His legs can go out. I don't want to push any further than that. The cloth is going to prevent it go further, but plus they're very tight. Go forward about that far, back not at all, and then go out at least that far. He's got double joint knees inside there. It's pretty cool. No swivel at the top. Of course his feet here, they can rotate, they can rock, they can go forward and back. Nice ball joint side of there. Next I'll show this Gordon compared with some other action figures, starting with some other Mezco figures. And then here's Gordon with his younger head meeting an ascending knight Batman, which is a younger version of Batman on the rooftop, giving him some secret files to go over. And then here's a sovereign knight Batman with an older Gordon accepting some different files. Here he is next to several different Mezco Batman figures. Here he is next to a couple of Mezco villain figures. I believe he probably uses the same body as the Joker. Here he is next to some Mezco female figures. Here he is next to my entire Mezco 1/12 Batman related collection. The only characters that are not Batman related, you could say, are Superman from Batman vs Superman and Diabolic, who I use a thief in my Gotham City. Here's an aerial shot of all the different figures. Next one to receive will be the Sovereign Knight PX exclusive. He should be releasing any day now from the website I pre-ordered him from. Next, let's check him out compared with some other Commissioner Gordon figures. Here he is next to a couple of Mattel Movie Masters Gordon figures from the Dark Knight trilogy. Now, Mattel actually never made a Gordon in DC Universe Classics or the Multiverse line, which truly does surprise me. And here he is next to a bunch of Gordons from DC Direct and DC Collectibles. Here he is next to a DST or Diamond Select Toys Gordon from the show Gotham. And then here he is next to an old school Kenner Gordon from Batman the Animated Series. And then here he is next to my entire collection of Gordon figures. And then technically these guys are Gordon as well. In the brief period of time where he took over as Batman, I believe it was near the end of the New 52. In my action figure world, I just use these as Batman armored suits. Next, let's check him out compared to all of my different police figures in my action figure world. We've got police officers, detectives, customs, substitutes, other lines being subbed in, etc. This will be in place of comparing with other action figure lines because this will cover the heck out of that. Here he is next to some wrestling figures, both Jakks and Mattel, mostly made of big boss man figures. Here he is next to some Diamond Select figures. On the left we've got Hartigan from Sin City, and you can see he's got his police badge on right here. And then on the right hand side we've got Mulder and Scully from the X-Files, both law enforcement officers, FBI agents. They make for some good detectives if desired. And then here he is next to a couple more Diamond Select figures. This is Gordon and Bullock from the Gotham TV show. And here he is next to even more Diamond Select figures. These are from Battlestar Galactica, and I thought made some decent police substitutes. The woman here I use as my 7-inch Montoya. And then here are some McFarlane Toys police officers. We've got both Stranger Things and a Texas Chainsaw Massacre sheriff. And then here he is next to a bunch of custom Arkham Origins cops. These are mostly customized out of wrestling figures, but from some other parts and pieces along the way. Here he is next to a bunch of Mattel WWE Create a Wrestler Roman Reigns figures. These guys here look like to be in SWAT police armor riot gear. They've got the gas mask, the armor, the helmet, the large bulletproof shield. Then here he is next to some Resident Evil figures that I thought might make some good fill-in police officers. And then speaking of Resident Evil, here's a couple of zombie cops that work great for police officer corpses. And there's another tortured cop here from Reservoir Dogs. And then here he is next to a NECA Splinter Cell figure. This guy here is not exactly in police attire, but he's got the bulletproof vest on, and I thought made for a decent cop. And here he is next to some NECA Ultimate T-1000 figures, both from Terminator 2 and Terminator Genesis. Do some head swaps and you get yourself a nice little army of cops. Here he is next to all my different NECA Terminator police officer figures. And then here's an aerial shot so you can see just how many there are. Here he is next to a McFarlane Toys We Happy Few Bobby figure. Now I've not played this game. This is some sort of deranged looking cop. Thought it worked pretty good in my action figure collection for maybe a villain mocking a police officer or going in there in disguise, undercover. Here he is next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles Batman the Animated Series police officers. We've got Montoya, Bullock, and Gordon. Then here he is next to some Dark Victory Commissioner Gordon figures that were customized into various SWAT officers. And as you can see, each one of them member of the GCPD. Here he is next to some DC Direct, Mattel, and DC Collectibles John Constantine figures. I thought these were great for detectives or private investigators. And then here he is next to some Plan B toys, police officers, SWAT officers, K9 units. The two big guys in the back are Bomb Squad units. Here he is next to some Mafex Honor Guard Joker figures customized into various police officers. And here he is next to a whole bunch of Mattel Movie Master figures customized into police officers. Got a bunch of John Blakes, a bunch of Honor Guard Joker, and a couple of Gordons turned into detectives. And here he is next to some smaller scale law enforcement or police officer figures. From left to right, first we've got Matrix Agent Smith, an FBI agent, and then Mulder and Scully, older McFarlane figures, once again FBI agents. In the center we've got the Mezco Gordon. Next a couple Spawn figures, Sam and Twitch, that was my original Bullock fill-in. And then last we've got Amy Pond from Doctor Who in a police outfit. So all in all, I'm going to say this is a very nice figure. And not just because I'm obsessed with police action figures, but this Gordon figure is great by himself, but the accessories just put him over the top. All of his radio and pistol and police badge are great. His different looks, his trench coat, his SWAT vest. Of course, don't forget the bat signal and the diorama. Really makes this figure a standalone piece. Something different than the other Mezco figures. He is great. If I were to rate this figure, I'd give him an 8.5 out of 10. I personally expect to see this Gordon re-release, maybe with a different color shirt and no bat signal as a more basic release. But nothing's been confirmed about that yet. So this is D Hunter. If you like this video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add it in the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys very soon.